Guys, remember that time in Wayne's World when Garth was alone on set because Wayne didn't show up and he just stared at the TV? That's what this feels like right now.
I'm having a good time not.
Oh,
yeah.
you
having
being
a good
here?
time not, because I've never been on the BST set before, and you guys both walked in like, what kind of alternate universe is this? I'm on the BST set. You should watch them tonight.
Welcome.
After.
But you are automatically having a good time.
Of course. This is like a casual, relaxed atmosphere. Like I can put my feet up and stuff.
And we get to talk about Gronk.
I was going to say, speaking of casual and relaxed, do we think that the session between Gronk and Brady was just casual and relaxed, or does it mean that they're going to get back together?
I like that you get to be animated on this.
I know, I get to root for
I'm just afraid you're going to hold up cards now with like stuff pointing at us like in Wayne's World. I do not think that it is worth reading into. I actually think that it is exactly what Rob Gronkowski said. Like, I thought that before we saw those comments of him saying Tom needed someone to throw to and why not call someone who knows how to catch the football. I think that's it. I also think that if Rob Gronkowski's hanging out with Tom Brady, if he's in town and he's hanging out with Tom Brady, that's kind of what you do when you hang out with Tom Brady. You're not going to call up Tom Brady and say, "Hey, what are we doing tonight, man?" And he's going to say, "Yeah, let's go out, let's drink, let's do whatever." Like, Tom Brady kind of hangs out and plays football.
Super fun guy to be around.
Yeah. I know this is really great television, but I agree with everything DJ just said. I think that they both happen to be in LA. Tom likes to throw passes. Rob likes to catch them. And who are you going to call than your friend who also knows all the routes that you're trying to practice and do everything that you're trying to do?
Is it also possible that Rob Gronkowski is, one, maybe a little bored? Because it's not like, I mean, listen, he's retired, but it's a little early at 30 to be retired, one. Two, we heard all these things that he was going to be in movies and TV and the WWE, and he's not doing that.
Where is it? Yeah.
So, and I don't think that that means he wants to come back to football. I just think he's like, yeah, I might as well go hang with Brady because this might be my only shot.
Jenny, we started this segment talking about Wayne's World. Now let's talk about Entourage. Those guys, very young, rarely actually worked and had a great time. I think that's just what Gronk is doing. He's just living life. He's got millions of dollars in the bank. I mean, yes, if the WWE calls or if someone wants to put him on the big screen, he's going to say, yeah, call Robbie G. But I think he's just loving life.
He's got all sorts of time to come up with a better nickname than that. Robbie G, hilarious. I think that also, like, what if he's just taking a gap year? That is, I think, entirely plausible.
So you think he could go
back?
A gap year from working.
From life.
Okay.
Like, he can take a year off. I mean, the analogy would be like that he'd go explore Europe or something if he were a young person fresh out of high school or fresh out of college, whatever.
He's
going to do whatever the Rob Gronkowski equivalent is of that. And I do think that that's like doing Monster Energy stuff and going on cruises and partying. But I think that just because the next thing hasn't happened yet, whether it's movies, WWE, a TV show, whatever, I don't think that means that he's waiting for football. I don't think it's an indication
you don't
he's just
think
going
he's
back
coming
to football.
back? It's a football
I don't. And I've seen enough stuff, and I've certainly read current enough to think like it is a little insulting to Gronkowski that he retires, says, okay, that's it. And then we all sit around and we're like, well, I mean, we don't believe you, and you're only useful for football, so just do that. Come on, Gronk.
I don't think that's entirely our fault. Willie McGinnis sat there, someone who knows him pretty closely, and said, I don't think he's done just yet.
I think sometimes, though, when other players who were had to be forced to retire because either they weren't getting contracts, didn't have the choice, maybe injuries forced them out of the game, they missed it to the point where they said, I can't imagine someone who could still possibly play would walk away. But I don't think Gronk can play at the level he wants to play at. I think we saw that last year. He's injured. I think his body hurts him all the time. Exactly. I think he's totally done. And to be honest, I am totally done with the speculation about whether or not he's going to come back. And I just want to know, when is it going to end, Abby? When are we going to stop speculating? Like if he doesn't, so the deadline is December 1st, I believe, that he would have to make a decision about whether or not he's going to return and retire and pull Roger Clemens and come back, at least for this season. Do you think it's that point? Do you think it is even next year after his, I'm going to keep calling it a gap year because that's great.
I did not mean it for football. I meant for his next yeah.
But like after a quote-unquote gap year, a year away, like when do we stop wondering if he's going to come back?
Right, until I think he shuts it down officially, which, I mean, I feel like he has,
right?
He hasn't necessarily
he's said it and done everything. I think
just looking at him, it looks like he's retired from football. The last
oh my God, he's lost so much
pictures that we've seen, yes.
Also, could have
to get back into shape to do that, I think would take a really long time.
According to him, it was just the cut of his shirt, right? People said, "Hey, you look skinnier," and he said, "No, that must have just been the cut of the shirt."
I mean, Abby and I can't tell you that certain cuts of clothing do make you look slimmer than others.
As does makeup, but
yeah,
my guess is he's not getting contouring.
I think that it ended.
To make your cheekbones look
I think that it ended too well. After a kind of mess season for him and us saying, okay, can he even do it anymore? We got to see one last flash of it. We got to see him go out the way that anybody would want to go out. I cannot imagine that he would want to come back and continue taking the beating that he's taking, especially with what he was saying leading up to the Super Bowl. Like, he sounded like somebody who was about to play their last game. Then everything went right. Like,
guys, he's been telling it for a long time. He's done.
But it's Gronk. The speculation will continue.
It's a Robbie G.
How do I get a bold shirt? I like that, Abby. That's a really cool
homage, actually. Got it.
That's very cool. This being on the set was very cool. This felt very natural and comfortable, and like I was just chatting in someone's living room, which is what they do every night on BST, so do not miss.
Also, by the way, Michael Hawley has a very different take on Gronk.
Oh, yeah. Hawley would have hated this block.
Yeah.
All right, well, you can hear what he thinks after Celtics Cavs Summer League action, because Holly's going to be here, Trotta, Abby Chin, DJ. They're going to react to what's happening in the night in Boston sports. You can watch it on NBC Sports Boston. You can also stream it if you're out and about. NBCSportsBoston.com.
Welcome in. Brad Stevens saying all the right things. We're going to play a little game these guys like to play around here called Sound Judgment, where we hear from Brad Stevens for the first time, really, since all of the Celtics changes, and then we'll give you our judgment on it.
We're going to be bold. We're going to be bold today.
That's what we're trying to be. Abby Chin.
Hey, we only got 60 minutes. We got to come in hot.
Sorry.
You know what I mean? We have no time to waste with this.
Let me introduce everyone, though. Michael Hawley, Daniel Trotta, and Chris Forsberg. All right, guys. Brad Stevens, I mean, as we'd expect, saying all the right things. He is not going to go burning any bridges with anyone.
What do you think, Forsberg?
I wish he would.
I thought he handled it just like we think Brad Stevens would handle it. Like, he's not going to throw anyone under the bus. He had thought it through. He knew what he was going to say, right? Like that. He knew the question was going to come. Has character and work ethic been a priority this offseason? Which, if we're being honest, it sure seems that way in terms of at least the rookies they've drafted. But Brad did not want to go there in terms of, hey, it just didn't work. And he blamed it on the chemistry, and it just, like a relationship that just didn't fit. And I get it. I think that there's some truth to that. I think, we've all sat here and gone, well, was it one guy? Was it one thing? I think one guy contributed to it a little bit more than others, but I do buy that everyone is at fault. Like, if we played blame pie, you could carve out a whole lot of slices there. And I think Brad will just, maybe when 20 years from now, 30 years from now, we'll get a memoir about what really happened this season and what was like.
But Brad Stevens will not be quoted in that memoir.
Probably not.
That's the thing. You wanted to know, Mike. If you don't get it now, I think like that chapter's closed now, right? It was your first time to hear him talk about it since the news broke. He's never going to go really outside the box and say anything.
Well,
that we really want the tea. You know what I mean? We're not going to get it.
I guess you can want that, but you guys, my marriage, my wedding anniversary is coming up, and I've figured out. I didn't get this early, but I figured out in the relationship, sometimes it's better to say things are your fault, even when they're not your fault. It just makes things go along better, and it shows your character. And that's what I saw in this marriage of Kyrie and Brad Stevens. Yep. Brad Stevens took the high road today and told, I won't call it a lie, but I'd say he stretched the truth a little bit when he said he enjoyed Kyrie. I would say, I'm going to put it parenthetically, in year one. I enjoyed Kyrie in year one. Last year, no, I did not enjoy Kyrie. You couldn't have enjoyed that last year unless you enjoyed it because it taught you what you really want in an NBA player, and you don't want to put up with this anymore. Maybe that was a lesson learned, but I saw the character of Brad Stevens in those comments. That's what I took away from it. I do not believe that he enjoyed that very much of what he saw last year.
Or at one point, it just got so ridiculous that he had to step back and found it amusing, because it was. There were a lot of struggles. Here is Brad Stevens on what last season was like.
Everybody in that locker room was well-intentioned. Everybody's a good guy, and we didn't fit, and I think that that's part of it. Sometimes that happens. I think that anytime you have a relationship, that doesn't always fit together.
I like the with that. I think everyone was well-intentioned. They were also well-intentioned for themselves.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of relationship analogies with the Celtics, the engagement,
A lot of marriage and engagement talk. Yeah.
Okay, I just don't believe that. Okay, first of all, I don't believe everybody was well-intentioned. Yeah, you can't say, both things can't be true. You can't say everybody was well-intentioned and we didn't fit. You didn't fit because everybody was not well-intentioned. And I think part of it was, not to say they're bad human beings. No, nobody's saying that.
Right.
But I think the lesson learned, and maybe this is for Danny Ainge, the lesson learned is you can't put a lot of people with these competing agendas on a team together and expect it to work out. You have the young guys who are trying to prove themselves. Terry Rozier, who said throughout the season, I heard him say in October, I heard him say it in January, I heard him say in April, I'm not a backup. I'm not a backup. Yeah, but you are. You're the backup point guard. Why do you keep saying you're not the backup? So Terry Rozier, Marcus Morris in a contract year, Kyrie in a contract year, Al Horford, professional, in a contract year. Give him credit, Abby. He never said it to you in a post-game, Forsberg. He never said it to you that, hey, we'll see what happens in the offseason. He never said that on the record, talked about his contract. But
he was never really asked about it.
But as soon as the year was over, right?
Either.
But what a professional. But you had so many different things going on. It was a clash.
I do believe, like, when he says they were well-intentioned, they all had the same goal, right? Like, they all wanted to be great, and they all wanted it to work. It just didn't. And, you know, like, you can find reasons for that and blame people because they weren't willing to morph and change and work together.
You can certainly say, I agree with Chris, I think you can certainly say everyone was well-intentioned and it didn't fit in the same sentence. I think you can connect those dots.
I don't. It's like saying to somebody, hey, do you want NBC Sports Boston to be the best station ever? Oh, yes, we all do.
But
okay, Forsberg, I need you to be behind the camera. You're not going to be on the air anymore. You're going to be behind the camera. Well, I don't want to do that. Well, then you're not well-intentioned. If you're not willing to do what it takes to be a championship team, then you can't say, I've got the best intentions. It just didn't work out. It didn't work out because you didn't take the plan. Here's the plan. I need you to come off the bench. The plan is you're not going to play 40 minutes. You're going to play 30. The plan is this. And if you don't accept it, you can't turn around at the end of it and say it didn't work, although I had the best intentions.
But couldn't it, like on Summer League play now, too, they're emphasizing chemistry and cohesiveness. Not that Brad had the quote a few days ago, not that we never have, but it's certainly something that we're putting a lot of focus on now. Even if you are intentioned, Mike, is it sometimes just personality clashes, right? Like, even if you were not willing to accept your assignment or your role, I think there were just personality conflicts, too, that they were never able to solve. Like, there were just certain pieces of that puzzle that didn't fit well together.
You guys did a great thing. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
A certain piece of that puzzle. But that has brought us to where we are now. And this summer of change.
I didn't know you were going there.
And this, the front court that is made up of many different pieces. Here's what Brad Stevens had to say about that.
Obviously, we've been really lucky in the last, most of the last 5 years to be a good defensive team, and it's always given us a chance to win. And we're just going to have to really commit to that because there's going to be times where we're much smaller than we've been. And there's going to be times where, we're asking guys to do some things that they haven't done as much. But that's part of repping it, part of working, building good habits, and getting ready to play.
That does not instill confidence in me at all.
That's going to worry the fan base a little bit, yeah. When you're already admitting there's going to be deficits going into the season.
I just think he's being honest. Like, you can't expect to lose Al Horford and Aaron Baines and have the same defensive intensity that you've had in years past. It's asking way too much of Grant Williams, of even Daniel Tyson, Enes Kanter. But what I think he's admitting, too, is that they put a priority on offense. Like, Kanter coming here gives them a dynamic that they've never had in the past, where a guy will chase offensive rebounds, can score. But, like, it's on Brad now to figure out how that works defensively and how do you mask some of his deficiencies. And so I think he likes that challenge because I think...
Does he? You don't think he walked into Danny's office and was like, excuse me?
I think, well, listen, in a vacuum, you'd love if you could bring back all the guys that are defensive giants. But, like, I think he also understands, like, Brad is better at taking the clay and molding a good defense than maybe molding a good offense. And so if these guys just have a base of offense and they can give them something they haven't had in past seasons, he'll figure out the defensive.
I would say I agree with that, Forsberg. I think he looks forward to the challenge, too. Why? Because you finally have a coach's dilemma, like a coach's X's and O's, how do we work this out on the court issue, as opposed to spending an entire season talking about personalities and egos and how do I do it. He spent a lot of time, being that coach with the notebook. Tell me how you feel. Does it go back to your childhood? You know what I mean? Kind of like being like the psychiatrist, and now he can just be a basketball player.
I don't think he's not telling the truth that he's not looking forward to that. I mean, that's just who Brad is. He loves every
I look forward to seeing how he figures it out too, because I think it's gonna. I think he's gonna figure it out with some pretty funky lineups too.
All right, we're not just talking basketball tonight, though. Coming up, JD Martinez is an all-star for the American League, but is he also in his final season with the Red Sox? John Tomasi joins us from Cleveland after the break. But first, we've got a Chevrolet Sportsnet Central update. It appears that the Celtics roster is full for the time being, so no room for Taco at the moment. The C's signed second-round pick Tremont Waters to a two-way contract today. Waters has been impressive so far in Summer League and joins Max Strus. As the two players Boston can keep on two-way deals. That allows them to go back and forth to the G League and spend up to 45 days in the NBA. After the Celtics put pen to paper with their 3 other draft picks, the 15-man NBA roster will be full. It appears that Marcus Morris getting some cold feet with the Spurs. He is reportedly considering backing out of his 2-year deal with San Antonio that would have paid him $20 million to sign a 1-year contract with the Knicks that all of a sudden have more money because of their issues with Reggie Bullock. So Morris apparently unhappy with how his free agency developed. And according to Adrian Wojnarowski, the Warriors are waiving Sean Livingston in an effort to clear cap space. Livingston immediately becomes one of the best free agents available. The 33-year-old veteran, a member of the Warriors for all of their 5 straight trips to the finals, 3 championships. So carrying the load presented by the Chevy Silverado. The NBA announcing some rules changes for next season, most notably the introduction of coaches' challenges. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Coaches will be, there are no flags, but coaches will be able to ask for reviews of fouls out of bounds and goaltending violations. The replay center can also trigger instant replay reviews. Should be interesting. That does it for the Chevrolet Sportsnet Central update. We're just getting started here on BST. Get the win 95-82. They are undefeated. Undefeated in Summer League play. Grant Williams affects winning. Just wants to affect impact winning.
You count the Summer League?
Yes. Team high plus 13 tonight.
I can't wait to talk to Sherrod because I heard him say something about a championship. Talking about a championship.
Bring in
his Grant Williams interview. Getting ready for the title
out in Vegas.
In Summer League.
What do you think, Sherrod? You like the title chances?
Look, it's Summer League. You got to have some kind of brass ring to reach for. And there's bottom line, every time they stepped on the floor, they've won. So why the hell not? Why would you not think about winning a chip? And think about it. I mean, a lot of these guys that the Celtics are playing, more minutes to are guys that are going to be fighting for rotation spots. And I don't think in the Brad Stevens era we've had this amount of guys who could theoretically compete for playing time early on. And it says a lot about obviously the state of their roster, but it also says something about how well those guys are figuring out how to play. And again, it's Summer League, and you always have to look at their play with an asterisk. Well, some of the things that they're doing, like, I don't know, knocking down open shots, that's a translatable skill at the next level. And the way that they're getting those open shots, to me, that's what's impressive.
All right, can I give you a Summer League hot take? This is like, it doesn't really deserve the paper treatment. Maybe just like one of them. Carson Edwards is going to beat out Brad Wanamaker. He's going to be the backup point guard to Kemba Walker. You see Carson Edwards actually being in an 8-man rotation?
I tell you what, it's going to be, I know Brad Wanamaker, and he is a feisty kind of guy who's chomping at the bit to get his opportunity to play. But I tell you what, this Carson Edwards kid is special. He's special because of his ability to not just get his shot, but consistently do it over and over again. I was impressed by the fact that he was able to come off the bench to this game and be able to still be impactful, which is something, as you know, when you've been the man for all your life, now all of a sudden you're coming off the bench, can you still get it done? Have you made that mental switch in order to be an impact player as a reserve? And Carson Edwards seems to be in that right mind space right now, and he's doing all the things that you're supposed to do at this point in his career to be someone that Brad Stevens is going to look to and turn to as far as someone who's going to help this team.
Sherrod, what about Grant Williams? I mean, the Celtics playing a little shorthanded tonight without Time Lord and the Dancing Bear. Grant Williams stepped up, played some big minutes in the front court.
The Dancing who?
The Dancing Bear, Gershon Yabusele. We've already gotten rid of his nickname. He's just out.
Getting rid of him soon.
Persona non grata. We're not even going to. What are your takeaways from Grant Williams? I want to correct myself. He was a plus 16 team high tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Grant Williams, when you start looking at his stat line, and you don't want to get into the whole comparison game, one, because he's a rookie, and two, because, you know, he just hasn't done anything yet, and this is Summer League. But his stat line does, in a lot of ways, remind you of an Al Horford. He's a different kind of player than Al. Al is a much better player than him, so don't at me about that. But make no mistake about it, what he's being able to do at the Summer League level is very similar to what we've seen Al Horford do in the NBA, and that is impact the game in a positive way, something Brad Stevens talked about before the game, and something that Grant Williams, once that ball got thrown up, was able to do when he got out there on the floor.
Sherrod, thank you. Scal calling for 20 minutes for Grant Williams during the regular season.
That's a lot.
Looking forward to it. All right, Sherrod, thank you very much. Enjoy your night in Vegas. Don't go too crazy. Let's send it over to the touchscreen. That is where we find DJ and Chris Forsberg.
And
Nice attempted to save there, Forsberg. I'm Abby Chin here at the Chevrolet Sportsnet Central Update. Major League Baseball's All-Star Game is tonight in Cleveland. The American League trying to win for the 7th year in a row. The Red Sox have 3 representatives in Cleveland, and it was a quiet night for them so far. J.D. Martinez was the only starter. He batted 5th for the AL and went 0 for 2 with the strikeout. Xander Bogaerts grounded into a double play that scored a run in the 7th, and Mookie Betts hasn't yet had a plate appearance. According to Rob Bradford, Tyler Thornburg has refused his assignment to the minor leagues, and it looks like he'll be released by the Red Sox. Thornburg's tenure in Boston has been an absolute disaster since he was acquired for Travis Shaw a couple years ago. He has a 6.54 ERA in 2 seasons with the Red Sox. To football, Patriots training camp is now just over 2 weeks away, and we have some more details on some of the team's plans. They'll hold joint practices in Detroit with Matt Patricia and the Lions on August 5th, 6th, and 7th before preseason game number 1. And then a week later, they'll travel to Tennessee for joint practices with Mike Vrabel. Gang's back together. Titans on August 14th and 15th before their second preseason game. So look forward to that. That'll do it for the Chevrolet Sportsnet Central Update. The Speedy Round is next.
Year, you gain $5 million, you hit free agency next year in a weaker class. We'll see what our professionals think. It's time for the Speedy Round, presented by Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your one-stop shop for all your automotive needs. Say hi to Chris Forsberg, Abby Chin, DJ Bean. A little would you rather, guys? Would you rather have Marcus Morris back if you could on the Celtics, or go with the big man they just picked up, Enes Kanter? Chris?
So Marcus Morris, when he came in, was here for versatility, the defense he could provide against someone like LeBron James. Now, that's not to take away from anything that Marcus Morris did last season. He was one of their best players for much of the year. He was one of their best players in that Bucks series. I'm intrigued by what Kanter brings. I'm going Kanter because I just want to see it. And I think for this year's team, they need that size and scoring a little bit more than what they needed from Marcus Morris in the past.
Abby.
Yeah, me too. As much as that pains me, because I love Mook more than anyone, but with this team, as constituted right now, they need a veteran big, and Enes Kanter gives them that.
Deej.
Right down to the as much as it pains me, Abby completely has my answer. I think that Marcus Morris is the better player. I like Marcus Morris, the player, more than Enes Kanter. But as far as a need, it's not even close, so I'll go Kanter, begrudgingly.
All right, I think we all agree on that one. It's a sweep. How about this one? Try it on for size. Would you rather Kemba Walker, new starting point guard for the Boston Celtics, or a guy whose name is just now surfacing? We didn't know this then. So would you rather Kemba Walker or Russell Westbrook?
I'll take this one, Danielle.
Okay, Abby, lead us
Kemba every day and twice on Tuesday. No question about it. That contract of Russell Westbrook in the last year, when he's going to be 33, is $47 million. That handcuffs you for the future going forward. You're on the wrong end of his prime. I'm taking Kemba.
Indeed, she was chomping at the bit for this one. She is emphatic. You stick with what you got.
I am also going with Kemba. I mean, straight up, as a player, who would you rather have, Russell Westbrook or Kemba Walker? Sure, I'd rather have Russell Westbrook, but considering it only cost money to sign Kemba and to get Russell Westbrook, the Celtics don't have a lot of assets to give up right now. You'd have to be trading something sizable, I would think, Chris. So I'm going to go sign Kemba as a free agent over trading for Russell Westbrook.
Okay, what do you think? Less paperwork, says DJ. A lot of messy logistics involved there.
Having lived through a season with a mercurial point guard who doesn't want to deal with the media, I think it's pretty clear that I'll go ahead and take Kemba. Welcome to Boston, and thank you for being nice.
And by all accounts, the kid's like too good to be true. So low maintenance, high impact player. Okay, next one's in.
For the record, they call me the Russell Westbrook whisperer in Oklahoma City.
Oh, really? Well,
We need more on this. The LA Lakers put all their eggs in the Kawhi Leonard basket and lost out. They reportedly like Kemba prior to free agency. So if you're the Lakers, would you rather have a shot to land Kawhi or Kemba Walker? What do you think, Deej?
I wrote it on the My Teams app where you can find a lot of Chris's work as well. Like the Lakers screwed this up, I think. And Abby pointed out correctly yesterday, they wouldn't have done it if they didn't think they were getting Kawhi. But unless Kawhi told them, I'm signing with you guys, which as we learned from Kyrie doesn't necessarily mean anything, you should have proceeded with a sure thing. Kemba isn't Kawhi, of course not. But if you sign Kemba, you've got your super team, and the NBA isn't as wide open as it is right now. Work for the Celtics, though.
I think your paraphrase is a little off. I said, I don't think they would have done it if they didn't think they had a good chance, a great chance to get Kawhi, and which I think that they did. I think the Lakers were his fallback. He clearly wasn't going to go to the Clippers alone, but he wanted to be in LA. I think he was calling Magic Johnson saying, tell me good things, tell me all I want to hear. And at the end of the day, the Lakers are the only ones who leaked anything about that entire process.
Thank you, Magic Johnson. Chris?
I think I don't care. Even if you didn't think you had a great shot at Kawhi, you have to at least go for him. He's the best player in basketball right now. He just, everywhere he goes, it's been magical, and you saw that in Toronto. So I think you have to at least put yourself in that. I don't think they should have rushed to sign Kemba if they thought they even had a sliver of a chance to get.
So, backstory here, our producer Rob is from Philly. He was very excited, I think, or even chuckled at DJ's response in an email chain earlier when he actually said he feared the Sixers this season.
Kills me.
So, I know. So would you rather face Philly with Butler and Redick or Horford and Richardson? Okay, Deej, take the stab.
I mean, I would much rather. Did I ever sound at any point over the last 2 years, or I suppose 1 year with Butler, like I was afraid of the Sixers? No, I enjoyed laughing at them because they're just a foolish franchise. Ultimately, now they've got one of those duos to which Chris and I were referring in the last block, and they've got really good players to round it out. Plus, in the past, when you're playing Butler and Redick, you've got Al Horford to shut down Joel Embiid. Right now, the Sixers look pretty good. If I'm betting on a team in the East, it actually might be Philly. I hate it.
Abby, what do you think of this new combo?
Yeah, I agree. I think I would definitely rather take the Sixers with Jimmy Butler and JJ Redick as the Celtics have Al Horford. With Al and Philly, I agree. That is a scary combination.
We all know how valuable he was in Boston. What do you think he does to the Sixers, Chris?
Yeah, like, listen, these guys nailed it. Like, not having Al Horford to defend Joel Embiid is just makes this task so much more daunting and not something the Celtics will look forward to. I don't even know who they can deploy against an Al Embiid front line and feel like they can have success against it. That'll be the challenge for Brad Stevens to figure out how to mix and match these new group of bigs and be comfortable putting them out there against the likes of two-star players.
It is going to be a fun season, especially in the East. Everybody, great work. Thank you so much. Celtics Post.
Big thanks to TMZ for that.
Big thanks. What would we have done with
helping us get all the information.
Robert G, the one and only.
Robbie G.
Robbie G.
I like it.
I like it too. Robbie G looks like he is living life right now.
He is having a great time.
Yeah.
So you guys
Which is why he is not coming back.
Michael.
He is retired.
Which is why I think the last thing he's caring about right now is football.
Why don't you believe him?
Okay. As I've said to you guys earlier, I thought he was retired all the way all along. 100% Rob Gronkowski is retired. I'm happy that he's retired. He's got out at a good time, at a good age, take care of his body. But this is not a play date. You don't just get with Tom Brady and play catch. And so when people
That's a
say,
corny-ass dude. I think he has play dates.
No, but not with Tom Brady at UCLA. You know how this looks. If you're Tom Brady, he's very wise when it comes to what the media will say, and Gronk as well. Why would you do that in public? Just because?
Well, don't you think Rob's playing then into Tom's plan? Because you know Tom wants him back.
Okay.
Well, to Rob, it might have meant nothing. You know, a date can be different things for different people.
Well, it does.
You know what I mean? Like, you could just go because you were bored that day. You know what I mean? For him.
This guy. He's been coming on strong. I know what it means
Tom's
to him.
coming on strong, but it doesn't mean that Rob's interested in any way.
And Michael Holly, my counter to that is that Tom doesn't want to just be throwing in nobodies. We see if you're outside the circle of trust, Tom has no interest in dealing with you. He wants to throw to someone who knows the routes. He knows who's going to be there. Someone who's going to help him.
It's such a good point. Think of how much it meant to Julian Edelman to be asked to
go to Montana.
Julian Edelman, he is on the roster, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But he had to earn the trust for Tom Brady to invite him out to practice.
Abby just said somebody who he knows is going to be there. Well, Gronk is not going to
be in the right spots when you're just throwing the ball around.
But what's the point of doing that? Why would you do that if Gronk's not going to be there? Okay, Gronk will be there at UCLA.
As we've seen.
Well, Tom typically is out there anyway.
Yes, and that's.
I think he just knew that his boy was close by. Yeah, this isn't atypical. He works out at UCLA in the summer.
With Tom Brady, as we said
yesterday. And if Rob's in the neighborhood.
It's not at the club. It's not at wherever. Tom Brady hanging out and having a good time is doing that stuff.
I'm telling you, I got a dog right here. That dog ain't hunting. I'm telling you, Willie McGinnis
is not in any way physically close.
Had the most. No. I didn't say he's going to be at training camp this month. I didn't say that. I'm saying he's not officially retired. And why doesn't he close the door definitively? Why didn't Julian Edelman?
What do you want him to do?
Say, I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back.
He has not.
This is a bad comparison to make, but it's similar to the Kyrie thing when we were like, hey, he hasn't said again that he's coming back.
No, he did.
He said he's coming back.
Why didn't Julian Edelman in his Pardon My Take podcast, why didn't he say, hey, Gronk is retired? He said, I think he played around with his number. He said, there's an 11% chance he's coming back. I get it.
Yes,
he's number 11, but he knows he's close to Gronk. I'm telling you, Willie McGinnis, who is close to Brady and close to Alex Guerrero, he's the one who introduced Alex to Brady, said a couple of months ago, I think Gronk will retire and wind up playing some point in 2019 season. And I think Willie McGinnis is onto something. I didn't think this until yesterday. This doesn't smell right.
Rob's just
I don't think that he planned, that he's currently planning. I mean, it could change. I don't think that he's currently planning it.
Which brings us to social studies. What are we talking about tonight, guys? Mookie Betts, red carpet.
So can I just get, like, Holly is the fashionista. I think Abby, we agree, right? Like,
100%.
game has to recognize game, Holly. Is this a look?
I respect it. I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
Because he's much younger than I am. He's in much better shape than I'm in. If you got it like that, which he does, you can pull that off. That's a very, very difficult outfit to pull off. He got nice fit though.
It's a two-toned peak lapel.
He got in the hat,
no shirt,
in the hat, and the chain.
In the middle of the summer.
Listen, I think it works.
But somehow it works. I agree.
It works.
I think he looks great. I like the no shirt better on women than men. With the
People put it right there. I'm feeling that.
Wow, Abby.
She's not allowed superstar.
Because you know why she said that? Because she's bold.
She is bold. Be bold, Abby.
But I always wear shirts under my blazers for the record.
If you're looking for